Hello, everybody, and welcome to I don't know which number
Oh,
episode
you
of
fucking hell.
Press A2 podcast. I'm your host Jacob Hujik, and with me today is Brandon Williams,
Yep.
Scott McPherson,
Howdy.
Michael Murphy back from the dead again,
Hello.
and a new guest, Josh.
You only have one
Howdy.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah. One
You
name,
need
all I
to
need.
earn a name.
Yes, so we brought on a whole expert crew to talk about one of our favorite games,
crew?
Mass Effect.
must
We will be
use the
covering.
word expert pretty loosely.
We will be covering the whole series over the next couple episodes, but obviously we're going to start with Mass Effect 1,
The best.
probably the best one. So, before we get started, I would like to ask, what is everyone's experience with Mass Effect? Brandon, if we could start with you.
I've played one a couple times, two almost all the way through. I didn't finish it. I'm the worst. And I never
Right.
played 3. But I know everything about it.
You didn't finish two.
You know
And-
everything about it.
Pretty much. Well, the whole
Yeah,
story.
Pretty much. He knows pretty much
The
everything.
story. The main story. Not the side quests, but the main story, yeah.
You know everything.
And I may have been playing Andromeda all weekend.
I'm a little jealous.
You can fuck yourself. Right? That's fine.
Hey, you could have done the same
It's
thing.
true. I could have. You're not wrong.
That's your problem.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Scott, what about you? What is your experience with the Mass Effect franchise?
I played them all. Like, I played 1, 2, and 3. All of them multiple times. Trying to, get all the unlockable achievements on Xbox. I've 100%ed 2 and 3, and 1 just requires like 16 playthroughs, so I haven't finished it yet. But it's fun. I don't know. Great. Love it.
Alrighty. Josh, what about you?
I played Mass Effect 2 when it came out on PS3 rather, and then the third one after that, and then when they eventually released the first one, went back, had a go, realized it was trash, and
You're not welcome
Never-
here. Sorry.
never went back.
Alright, we're kicking Josh off. Let's,
He's gonna
See you later.
accidentally get dropped from the call now.
I'm just waiting for the.
Bloop.
My
Alrighty.
story isn't much different, actually.
Yeah.
I started with the second one, and I fucking loved it. I love the second one, and then
I love their linear.
I went back to the first one. I couldn't find a hard copy of it. If I could find a hard copy of the first one, then I would definitely have played it. I think a little more, but I went out to Steam, picked it up for dirt cheap, and then I maybe put like 3 hours into it, and then got very
even
very
start the
bored.
Didn't even start the game.
I know. I just like I don't know. It's like it. You can't even compare the first and the second one. They're completely different. But that's like what I was accustomed to. It's like completely different, and I couldn't even like I didn't even want to give it a chance because I hated it so much right off the bat. But then anyway, so the third one I eventually played the third one, and I've beaten that one a couple times as well. But man, the first one is just
Don't say it.
just
show,
Don't say
so
it.
showing our hands early.
Say
That's
it.
good. That's good.
Don't say
yeah.
it.
As for myself, I just like Mike and Josh. Actually, I started with number 2, loved it, went back
Wow,
to the
I
first
was,
one,
like the only person that actually started with the first.
which is weird
I
considering
played the
your
first
MO,
one.
man.
I started with the first one.
I know.
Yeah, I went back to 1, and unlike these two, I loved 1. 1 might be my favorite of the series. So yeah, and then I took a character through from 1 to 2 to 3, had a blast right up until the end. But yeah, and then quickly before we start off on our first topic, what was everyone's kind of play style? Like, were you were you Space Jesus? Were you basically Satan himself? Did you play
I pretty
as a
much played every
Vanguard,
way.
which is Satan? Or yeah, what was your specialization?
I tend to be the asshole in an RPG game,
Oh, okay, good. I thought you were talking about
but in Mass Effect, I actually played a little differently. I was more of like a neutral kind of character.
where I would go like a little bit this way, a little bit that way, and I never really made too much progress either way. That was the first time I ran through. The second time I went like all good.
So basically, Brandon was bipolar.
I was,
Playing
yeah.
Mass Effect.
I was also femshep, so I mean you could blame it on a few things.
Oh God.
Scott, Josh,
I'm
what
not
do you
touching that. I'm not touching
No,
that.
we're moving
yeah,
on. We're going.
Yeah, I need to end the story. Yeah, no, I played like across all my playthroughs. I've probably played every class, like every specialization class, and I've done full Renegade, full Paragon, and I've also gone like the half and half route, just like whatever side suits the conversation best, kind of thing. I did a playthrough as me, like the decisions I would make, and then I did full good to see how that would go, and then I would do like full bad. That was fucking fun. Probably my favorite. That's probably my favorite. Like I get nothing compares to just screaming at every single person in the game, making them kill themselves. Great.
Yeah, fair. That's
Nothing
that is a valid
compares.
option in Mass Effect.
So
That
you
was me
actually
and
prefer-
Kotar.
Oh, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. Yeah.
Does
yeah.
sticking in the middle actually do anything though? As I
No,
Nothing
you
does.
get
No, 'cause
it
extra
actually-
actions when
I
you
don't
go
suggest
fully
it.
one way or the
It
other.
actually hinders your options later in the game because you need like a certain score
I think that
to get to unlock some of the dialogue options. So if you're not high enough in either Renegade or Paragon, you just don't have the option. You're like, well, fuck this.
Yep.
Like basically in the first game, if you had a high enough option, Renegade Paragon, you could skip half of the final battle.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the final battle's pretty
You could
fun,
make
though.
the guy shoot himself, and then you only have to fight the robot version of him.
Spoilers.
Shut
what
up.
about you two?
Game's 10
What
years
was
old.
your
Give me a
playstyle?
I did it as a Paragon, as it's just kind of the more reasonable thing to do. I can't
Yeah.
remember what class I picked because they all basically seem the same.
That's not true.
Well, it's like when you start off, you're not really given a description of what any of
Fair
them
enough.
do.
Yeah, no.
And then, so you just
Pick
play as
Yeah,
well.
that's
You
true.
pick one at random and hope, and you're like, okay, this kind of, I have some powers to lift up a box and throw it at people.
It's pretty cool.
And then if you don't have those powers, you end up having someone else on your team that does. So I don't know. I never really saw much of a difference in any of them. But then I only played the first one for like 3 hours, and then they watered that down
Dropped it.
considerably. Yeah, in the second and third one.
Yeah, fair enough. Mike, you
Yeah.
played as a soldier, right?
It was, yeah. to simple
All
answer,
guns,
yes.
man. All guns.
Yeah, I couldn't just restrict myself to a certain kind of play style. I think that's what made the game a little more entertaining for me, at least. I mean, I did enjoy the whole choose your own path kind of deal, but I think the more enjoyable part for me is the gameplay, and it is so important to me if it's actually entertaining and fun and replayable. And I just didn't see that in Mass Effect 1.
You didn't give it a chance.
Well, maybe. I
No, it
tried.
100%.
I tried.
It does
I got,
take probably at least 3 hours to get into the game.
Oh yeah, at least.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
I'm like running around.
if you
on
would
the
have played
Citadel,
another
not
hour,
knowing
you would have been
where
into it.
to go. I don't know. I just got so accustomed to the way that the hub worked, and changing weapons and upgrading and all this other stuff. That
See,
was completely
Go on.
different in the second one, and that's the one that I started.
It was significantly
Yeah,
different.
your real problem is that you started with the second one and didn't give the first one a chance.
I think that might have been the problem. However, when you think about it, would I have, given the series a chance if I started with the first one to begin with?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I think that with the first one, definitely the strongest aspect of it is the story, which is kind of our first topic for today. Basically, it's the first game of the series. It's setting up everything. You're getting to meet all these different characters that you kind of grow more and more attached to as the series goes on. Some of whom are your squad mates.
Squad
Some
mates.
of them are, the antagonists of the series. You get to learn more and more about them. But what did you guys think of the setting of the game? Do you guys like? Are you fans of kind of like the sci-fi, like kind of like almost Star Trek? You're a ship captain and you're going off there exploring stuff and having sex with sexy aliens.
I mean, space. Any game that like the setting is in space, it's like yeah, I'm gonna play it.
I'm a sucker for sci-fi as well.
Yep, same.
Roving Uranus.
Did you think? Did you think?
Yeah.
Did you think Mass Effect?
That wasn't
kind
until
of,
the second one.
Whatever.
Did you think Mass Effect, specifically the first one, kind of lived up to that fantasy?
Specifically the first one. I mean, yeah, it was. I feel like out of at least out of the three of them so far, it was the most open. Like to cut down on a lot of the like they just became more and more linear as you like between 1 to 2 to 3. Like 3 was just like a straight line. 1 was kind of like like you could kind of explore like. I mean, sure, it was limited. Like you drop on an open planet on the Mako, and you only have access to a certain amount of the planet. But like, there was nothing. In like 2, you only went to a random planet if you found a specific mission on a planet, and then 3 was the same way, and you could only go to some planet.
What about you guys?
Well, I think when you take a step back and you think, okay, when did this game come out?
Right.
And
yeah.
what other games did something similar to this in terms of like exploration of other planets? There really isn't anything to compare it to. So it was kind of like they were stepping out of their comfort zone, and it was something completely different and completely new. And it was, well,
to an extent. I mean, this game was basically supposed to be the third KOTOR, and then they lost the Star Wars license. They're like, we'll make our own, and it turned out to be really, really good.
So they did something similar in those games? Like I didn't play those games.
It was like
sort of.
Not quite. Like those ones were much more. You're in the Star Wars universe and you're going to these planets that you know or have heard about, for the most part. Whereas in this game, it was like you're exploring our solar system and you can actually go to these different planets, like Scott was saying, and land on them and kind of explore them. But yeah, they have kind of done the space thing before.
With
well, yeah,
Old
obviously.
Republic.
Well, I know that they came from, essentially, it was a Star Wars game that turned into a completely different universe. But in terms of like exploration, I didn't think that they had anything that was like comparable to the first.
No,
Mass
you're
Effect.
right. You're in that regard. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Brandon, Josh, anything to add or?
No,
Oh, not really. No.
not really. No comment.
I didn't actually ever get to that point where you were actually in the
Right,
little car
that's what I
driving
mean.
around on the
Yeah,
surface.
see, once you
A
get to that
Mako.
point, that's when you find out about the
We
Reapers.
will get to the Mako. Don't you
The
worry.
Mako was like
That's what, like, at that point, like when you're doing the Mako mission, like everything's starting to unfold from there.
It
my
looks
favorite
so freaking cheesy, though.
it doesn't matter.
But
it
that's
was
because you
awesome.
played 2 first. That's the problem.
Probably. I mean, 2 is no different when you just go to a planet and then you freaking hold your left mouse or whatever and just scan, and then you like grind, and then
Yeah,
okay,
get all of them and just deplete, become a space pirate and just deplete every planet
Yeah,
of all of its
sorry.
resources.
It's
Speaking of grinding, what did you guys think about the characters in the game?
That doesn't have anything to do with it.
Josh is so upset about what he got into right now. What did you? Sorry, I was trying to think of a segue, and that was the best one I could come up with. What did you guys think
It
of the
was fucking
characters
terrible.
in the
I
game?
You
don't
could
know.
That
have
was
just
the
put
one
the
I
brakes
remember.
on the conversation.
You really could have
driven it off the road, yeah,
Fuck
because that
you.
would have been
We're gonna
fine.
talk about the characters.
What did you guys think about the characters in this game?
Yeah, great. I mean,
Other than
like,
FemShep, I just didn't care.
I haven't even met half of them, so
I'm just kidding. Rex is one of my favorite characters,
Rex is awesome.
and I'm I
arguably
was
the hardest
super,
person to keep alive in the first.
yeah, I was super sad when I had to kill him off.
You had to shoot him in the head.
Yeah, brutally shoot him in the face. Was not happy.
he wasn't in the second one. If he just like started fresh from in the
No.
second one, he was part
No,
of it.
you
Yeah.
couldn't get him in the second one if you started fresh.
Yeah, he was like presumed
Well,
dead.
he wasn't playable in the second one. He was like he was like the leader of the Krogans. Like
Yeah,
one
but
of the
not if you killed him.
No, not well. Yes, because he's
Like-
dead if you killed him.
But those choices affect the second one,
Yes.
which I'm sure we're going to talk about all that bullshit later. But
Yeah.
in terms of just
All that
characters,
bullshit, yes.
Or at least in
that's
the
all.
second.
I mean,
That's
like easily, Ashley was probably the most annoying character in the game.
Oh, I agree.
would probably agree with
Not
that.
like
I mean,
Yeah.
I try to like her.
You try. You have to try, but you just can't.
You're just such a pain in the ass.
Right. You're just so whiny.
Just the worst.
Please die. Like, oh, I can leave her on the planet to die. Done. See ya. And Caden's probably one of the best. Like, probably like outside of like if you didn't want to go like full tech like Garrus, like Caden's probably one of the best squad mates.
He
At
Wait,
does
least-
have a
so-
lot of different options on him.
Yeah.
He covers a lot of bases.
Yeah. There is
So-
a point. There is a point in the game where you choose between Caden and Ashley.
But like, what choices do you have to make in order to, if I wanted to have Caden survive over Ashley, what would
It's
I have
like
to do?
you go to one or the other's aid. Like they're both separated on the plant, like on this base, and the base is blowing up, and you have to go to one of them.
Can
Basically,
you leave them both to die?
no, you have
No.
to stay.
Unfortunately, yeah. What did you guys think of that?
I remember
um,
that Caden was that annoying guy from the beginning, KOTOR.
Yeah, well, yeah, but he's
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's
He's
the
much more
same-
fun to
it's like
play
the
with
same
as
voice
a
actor.
squad mate.
Is it? I didn't know that. Is it the same voice actor?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure anyway.
What about some of the other characters? Like in the first one, you have Liara, Tali, Garrus. Most of those like follow you through the rest of the series.
I mean, those are like the iconic. I think those three are
yeah, I
like,
mean,
the iconic. characters.
Liara, she's a great character and plays a big role in the later games too. And Garrus is probably one of my favorite. Well,
Just got
he's
the
just that like all around.
banter.
He's a
cool
good.
dude.
He's a bro. He's just a good guy.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I mean, and we can't forget about Joker here, guys.
Yeah, beyond the squad mates, there are a lot of more supporting characters in this series. Or did any of them
I
stand out
refuse-
to you?
I refuse to consider him Joker. He's Seth Green to me.
Yeah,
Every time he speaks, I'm like, Seth Green. Seth Green. That's all he is.
He's
That's
Seth,
who he is.
he's Seth Green with bonitis.
He's Seth Green. And he eventually has sex with a robot. A Terminator.
But yeah, like with the other alien races and the supporting characters, were there anything like did you kind of like how the different aliens were not introduced, but like did you like the other aliens in this series? Were they interesting to you at all, or were they just kind of like
For the-
whatever?
The Hanar could go fuck themselves.
Are they the big elephant ones?
Yeah. No. They were the big jellyfish ones.
Oh, okay.
The really tall jellyfish ones. Yeah.
The elephant guys are the Alcor.
Yes.
And they're the ones who have such subtle emotions that they have to speak.
They them. Yeah.
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 With depression, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. They're always fun to talk to. You're just like, oh my god, I want to kill myself.
I love the Alcor. I thought they were hilarious.
With great pride, we ride into battle with cannons on our backs.
I can't believe we never saw that. Oh, that was so. But yeah, so there are a lot of different alien races in the games. I actually think that they were pretty fleshed out. The whole setting it's nothing crazy. It's nothing we haven't ever seen before. But it was solid enough, and I quite enjoyed it. I got pretty deep into the Codex. So you guys, I'm assuming, didn't care as much about the story is what I'm getting. Not the story, sorry, but the setting. You weren't like, oh, these Hanar, they're so cool. The tentacles, they're just awesome. Like, you guys were more in there for the more personal story of Shepard.
yeah, and everything going on in the galaxy.
I mean, I thought it was cool to like see them, but like after I actually got to like know the races and stuff like that, I'm like, well, I hate this one and I hate this one, and
This
I'm
one's
just gonna
kinda
commit
cool.
genocide. That's fine. Give me the option to wipe out the Hanar. I'll do it. I'll do it. You don't even need to pay me.
So with Shepard,
Well, I
did
think
you
the
guys?
thing is that you never really saw any of these races out in the wild. You only ever really encountered
Yeah,
them in the
In the
Citadel,
Citadel. Yeah.
from what I remember. And so you don't kind of get a feel for the races as actual
Civilizations.
civilizations. You just see them all living in the one big spaceship together, where they all get
Yeah, like
along
all
nicely.
the smaller races anyway.
Yeah.
Like the Volus and the Hanar and the
You
Elcor.
do interact with them infrequently. Often they're like your enemies, so you're fighting like Solarians or Asari mercenaries or
Well,
whatever. But you do have some
Yeah, but that's not really interacting with them. That's just kind of a
Shooting them in
yes,
space.
but you do interact with them on a more like talkie basis
Talkie-talkie.
during some of the main levels. For example, when you're on not Thanos, I can't. It's the icy world in the first game. It's a lot of Asari that you're dealing with.
Yeah, because that's when you're fighting Liar's mom.
Yeah,
Oh.
and there is a little bit if you're digging into some of the more like side quest bits. There you get a bit more tension between the humans and the Turians. You understand that there's
Well, I don't mean that none of them. Like for me, it was like I wish that you saw this all of the races outside of the Citadel at some point, but there were some of them that were exclusively on the Citadel.
yes, you're right.
That you never see them like of course like the main ones like the Krogans, the Asari, the Solarians, like the ones that they're always talking about you do, but the ones that you only interact with in little pieces, you only see them on the Citadel. Like that's it. Like they're kind of just like this is a race, but you'll never know anything about them.
I mean, to be fair, lore-wise, both of the Elcor, Hanar, even the Volus have much more trouble adapting to different atmospheres and stuff. But yes, I do see your point. You never like come across like if you're saving a ship, it's like it's always a human ship or something. It's never a Volus, mercantile fleet that got lost or something.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So with Shepard, did you guys feel that you had a lot of choice in the game? Like, did you think he represented what you wanted to be doing well, or was he kind of a poor avatar in that respect? Like, were you happy with your responses in like conversations? Were you happy with the choices that you got to make in the game?
I would say more or less. I mean, I'm sure that there were some occasions where I was like, I wish I could do this instead of my options. But I mean, like I feel like more or less, they offered large enough variety of dialogue options that you could kind of pick of what you wanted to say, and like there's always an option to like get more information and stuff like that, or like if you wanted to get more backstory into the game. But like yeah, I mean like I was more or less content with what they gave me.
Yeah, like sorry, I might have misworded the question. Did you think Shepard was an interesting character? Did he give you lots of role playing chances or?
Well, I mean like they don't really give you a lot. Like the beginning, they ask you like what like you can like to actually. And it affects very little of it, like a very little dialogue, but it's just like how.
Were you
raised? There's like 3 questions or something like that you answer, and then that's it. Like
you
that's
get
all.
to pick between one of 3 like birth, like
Yeah, that's
your
what it
younger
was, okay.
childhood, and then like
Yeah.
3 additional like how you.
It
Got
was like
into
one
your
for
career.
right, exactly. Like how like the one battle that he was like the sole survivor or whatever, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I never ever customized my character.
Who, out of curiosity, who
What?
customized their character,
I did.
or who just went with
Every
the default
time.
kind of?
Every
I
time.
literally every single one of my playthroughs in every single one of the games, I was
Default Shepard.
Default.
John Shepard.
Man Shep,
Yeah.
He was man Shep.
default Shep.
My problem and the reason that I tried to customize my character one time. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't, and then I restarted the game. The game he has a face. It's not like Skyrim where you don't
my
have a face. No, it's the default face. Like it's on the cover of the game. It's like they advertise that like with that face, not like you can have it however you want, and so like it felt wrong to have another face as Shepard.
No, you're wrong.
You're fuck you.
Josh, Mike, what about you? Did you guys customize your characters?
I made the mistake of that the first time I played the second one.
You made your own
Because
character?
then you in the create a character thing, you're kind of poking around, moving parts of their face, and you're like, okay, that looks all right. Let's enter into the world. And then as soon as a light hits them, you're like, oh god, now he looks like a monkey. What have I done? And then you just sort of, and then I think I did it like 3 times to try and get something that looked human. And then at that point, I was like, I'll just wear a mask for the rest of the game. And then by the time the third one came around, or like the beginning of the third one, I was like, hey, do you want to customize your character? No. No, I do not.
I've learned my lesson. I can't sculpt. I'm not a sculptor.
I completely agree with Josh with the. I mean, you only have like a certain number of like presets,
Yeah.
I guess, where you can like kind of modify and customize for like facial hair and hairstyle and stuff like that. But it's not like you're starting from a fucking like egg-shaped head and then you're picking everything. That's not the kind of customization that you have in terms of physical appearance. But in terms of, I guess, literal customization or like emotional customization, where you pick like the backstory and where they come from, I think the intent was to just kind of choose what you want, and it didn't really affect anything. And you were essentially given a blank slate, because that's the whole point of an RPG, is to choose your own path, and the choices that you made in the beginning in terms of like what kind of background you had was like your own choice. But it didn't really, I mean, it kind of affected later choices and later conversations, but not like groundbreaking choices. I don't know if I didn't play the game, so I don't know what kind of like how it affects your choices later on in the game. But
Yeah.
the intent was to have a blank slate and to choose your own path, and that's the point of an RPG, ladies and gentlemen. Choose your own path.
As you guys were going through and making these decisions, and they obviously impact the plot of the game. What did you think of the story and like how not only like the story itself, do you think it was a good plot, but also how it kind of reacted to your decisions as a character? Because obviously, again, that is one of the big points about Mass Effect, the fact that you can make decisions that will widely branch the story out, especially in the first game where we had so many like possibilities. Where's this gonna go? What do you guys think of that?
I don't know. It was so hard to make decisions because, like, playing games like that before, like, I know there's so many different consequences and stuff. And going through Mass Effect 1 the first time, I didn't know, like, how it was going to affect things. So I was kind of, like, really cautious. And, yeah, I don't know. No.
Did you think it told a good story when you were playing through the number 1?
Yeah, no, it definitely did. I mean, it kept me interested. That's the main point.
Pretty good. With the decisions, not so much how they played out, but as you were playing through the game, were you kind of like, did it like, oh my god, where's this gonna lead? Like did you actually feel as if the story was branching out depending on your decisions?
Yeah, absolutely. They do a good job of that.
Scott, what about you?
When you zoom out, like when you look at, the first one, it was great. Like I genuinely felt like my decisions were like affecting the course of the game. When you zoom out and you look at everything as a series, it kind of just like nipped it in the bud. They're just like, nah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but in the first one though,
yeah,
it makes you think.
Yeah,
it makes you think though, like what you're doing is.
Yeah, it was cool. Like to be like, do I wanna save the Rachni Queen, or should I just kill the filthy bug? But I just had to kill.
Choices like that.
Yeah.
Where you're potentially having like wildly
Yeah,
differing.
you're thinking like, like is this gonna come bite me in the ass later, or am I gonna have a sweet bug army behind me to fight with me? It's gonna be one or the other, and you know it's gonna be one or the other, but you're not sure. It's like, do I risk it or do I just murder?
Your answer was murder.
Your answer was murder.
Everyone's answer was murder.
So one of the bigger things in the game that doesn't change is you're hunting after Saren is your original like impetus for the story, and as you go forward, you learn that he's not the only antagonist. Basically, you come across the Reapers and Sovereign. Yeah. What did you guys think of both of those characters, Sovereign and Saren?
Well, I mean, like, Saren was like more or less just a puppet of the Reaper. Like, he didn't really, like, he had his own, prejudices and stuff like that, but like, more like, basically he was just doing the will of Sovereign the whole game, right? He wasn't really acting of his own accord, and so he's not much of his own character. I mean, at the very end, like I was saying, you are able to like reach him at the end of the game, like reach the Saren character.
Yeah.
And like one way or another, you get him to understand that what he's doing is wrong. But more like throughout the game, you're pretty much only, in my opinion, you're exclusively talking to the Reaper, and that's like kind of controlling
him. Yeah.
Brandon, do you have the same opinion about Saren?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
I actually really like Saren's story, just because, like, if you kind of dig into it more, it's clear that he has moments where I think it's after Vermeer when you kind of beat him that first time.
Yeah.
When you next see him after that, he has a lot more like implants and cybernetics and stuff, and it's because he failed, because he had this one moment of like hesitation. Basically, Sovereign put more tech into him so he can control him better, and you kind of reveal more of that when during the final confrontation, we were like trying to get through this indoctrination from the Reapers. I actually quite liked Saren as a character, just because he was this, like, he was this good adversary. He's what you become as a Spectre. He's well regarded as one of these operatives. But yeah, you're right. The real big bad, as you come to find out, is Sovereign as one of these Reapers. And I still remember the first time I was talking to Sovereign. It's on Vermeer, and you're talking to him through a hologram. And at first you don't know what he is, but then he makes it clear, like, this is something you can't even understand. Did you guys have the same...
Didn't you say you played the second one first, though? So surely you already knew what he was.
I knew what the Reapers were, but Sovereign himself, when I got into Mass Effect 1, just like him talking to you and talking about, like, him as a being was so much more advanced that you couldn't even comprehend, like, the limits of his consciousness. Whereas in the second game, the Reapers are basically the bad guys. All you know is they're coming to get you, and you don't really know anything about them. You're fighting the Collectors through the whole game, and the Harbinger is the big bad of that one.
Yeah, well, because when I played the second one, I definitely felt, hey, this whole story with Saren sounds really interesting, him being controlled by a Reaper. I'm going to go back and play that when it eventually comes out. And then I did, and I was like, actually, I can't be dealing with this. There's other stuff I need to do with my life. So I always thought the potential of the story was really interesting, but could, like, I mean, if I'd have, suppose, really wanted to do it, I could have gone back to it, but it's a bit different when you know exactly what's going to happen, really. You know the foregone conclusion.
That is true. I loved interacting with the characters, especially the antagonists. Like, I thought Reaper was so cool. Like, again, in the first one you're not interacting with the Reaper, but Sovereign in the first game is he completely disregards you as an opponent. He thinks you're so far below him that you can't touch him, and you're like just learning about these creatures and like, wait, I thought the Protheans built all this technology that we've been using, but it's actually the Reapers. They're the ones that are controlling us and hurting us. Like I loved the concept of that. And in the second one, because you had already learned all that stuff, they didn't really touch on it too much. Like it was just background. Whereas in the first game, you're like discovering it all for the first time. And just to me, I thought it was super, super cool. But yeah, Josh, you kind of touched on it. The first game, for as cool as I thought the story was, one hindrance for it definitely was the gameplay. That game was janky. And I wanted to kind of get your guys' opinion on some of the different systems of it. So first of all, we'll touch on kind of the biggest bedbug, I think you'd say, which is the combat system.
Yeah.
What did you think? What did you guys think of combat in the first Mass Effect?
How
It
fucking
was
hard is it to
rough.
change a goddamn weapon?
Right?
I know. Yeah, it was pretty brutal. I mean, I guess you could like hotkey instead of having to open the weapon wheel every time.
I just couldn't be fucking bothered.
No.
I couldn't.
I mean, yeah, like once I got more into the series, like in my second playthroughs, I started to just like, like I'd mostly use one weapon, and then like so that one I would hotkey, and whenever I needed my other one, I would just open the weapon wheel and use it. But like, yeah, it was bad. Like I wasn't really a fan that like it paused the combat. Like you're just like, oh, hold on, let me change my weapon, and everything pauses. And it's super, yeah, just super kind of just like, yeah.
I also didn't really like the reticule in the beginning. I understand that you had to kind of upgrade your skill points and things like that, but that really took away from the gameplay as a potential first-time player. If you were introduced to the game and then it's like, oh fuck, it's this hard to shoot something. Like I tried to snipe people and my reticule is like all over the place.
Because you're not trained in snipers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It was just a lot to ask for right at the beginning.
It was pretty rough.
And I think that was kind of like what soured it for me. It was like, this game is asking a lot from me, to invest a lot of time and learning. I just want to play the damn thing. I don't know. Maybe it's maybe I'm just picky.
It was just broken. Like the aiming was like so floaty, and Scott, you were mentioning the combat wheel. Like it's a kind of classic staple of BioWare games where you can pause the game because they were originally much more tactical. This was their first stab at like real time action, whereas everything else was like kind of this weird turn-based stuff, or it was like an RPG that was real-time action, but it was very heavily focused on you pausing, planning out your strategy, and your characters kind of moving and doing that. So they kind of tried to combine it all, and the pausing stick with the series. They're getting rid of it in Andromeda. But yeah, the game it didn't quite come together. Aiming was super hard. The physics in the game were really weird because they tried using physics manipulation as the basis of many of the abilities. And while it did lead to some cool moments sometimes, like when you were fighting in a zero-G area, and there's a Krogan charging you, and you can just lift him off into space, and he floats away and dies. That was pretty cool. But sometimes, like, you'd get one shot by a missile, or you'd like suddenly fall to the ground because someone knocks you over with like a throw spell, and you're just like, okay, I guess I'm on the floor now, and I'll wait for myself to get back up. They had a lot of ideas with the system, but they didn't quite implement them as well as you'd like to.
I mean, they started to figure it out with the later games.
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, it was a very rough time.
Continuing on this trend of things they didn't do super, super well. Exploration, we already touched on it. It's kind of a theme of sci-fi and this game in particular. What did you guys think of the Mako, which was your vehicle for exploring planets?
Thought it was amazing.
Did you want to expand on that?
I loved. I don't know. It was easy to drive. It was easy to drive. It was. You're just bad at it.
Okay, if the terrain was flat, yes.
No, it didn't matter.
That
it was so
thing
easy to drive.
Is basically a rubber ball. Like it just bounces off of everything.
It was easy. It was easy to drive.
Awful.
You could drive straight up mountains with it. It was phenomenal. It was just like, I want to go there, and you went there. You didn't need to worry about the path there. You're just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna drive up the mountain. I don't give a shit.
I kind of wish that game because I loved the idea of exploring these planets.
It had 2 guns on it.
It did have 2 guns on it and 6 wheels, yet somehow it still couldn't drive.
No, that's user error.
I wish in that game.
Shit, you just got owned.
I wish in that game, because when you land on a planet, like the planet actually looks like a piece of terrain. Like it just it's all bumpy and there's hills like everywhere you want to go. There's never like a road to where you're going. I do kind of wish that in the game there had been the option where the Mako could kind of find a path. Like this is the easiest path to your objective. And if you want to follow that or not, I think would have been a cool choice to have. But just taking the straightest route, because there was no road, so you just went right from point A to point B, and it was over the biggest hill on the entire planet.
Amazing.
It was frustrating because
amazing.
Oh my god, it was tough, and it didn't have a speed boost.
I mean, if the shortest point A to point B route was over a mountain, you could just decide to take a longer route and not go over the mountain. Like, it was totally up to you. If you didn't want to scale a mountain, you didn't have to. There was always a way around it.
Yeah, you could go around the mountain.
You didn't know the roads, though. Like, there was no roads. So you'd actually have to, go all the way around.
Yeah, you just drive around.
You might end up hitting another mountain or a deep valley.
You know what? That's what exploration is all about.
I guess that's fair.
But exploring the unknown.
Mike, Josh, you guys touched these games, and then you just dropped them. What were the systems that you just did not want to deal with?
I didn't even get to that point. To the point of, landing on a planet and driving around.
Mike, just out of pure curiosity, how far did you actually get, mission wise? Like, did you even get off the Citadel?
No.
That's what I thought.
Oh my god.
Never got it off the Citadel. I was running around on the Citadel, talking to people.
Oh, I knew it.
Because
it takes a long time.
Is so freaking boring.
It takes a long time.
I couldn't.
Yeah,
I don't have patience for this.
That's fair. Every person that I've ever talked to that has said, I hated Mass Effect 1 because it was so boring. I'm like, how far did you get in the game? I didn't get off the Citadel. Yeah, that's why. That's why you didn't enjoy it, because it takes a while to get into it. I mean, yeah, it was a fault on theirs because it took a long time to get into, but you just have to know that the rest of the game is significantly better. Like, it picks up pretty quickly.
The Citadel is
it just takes a long time.
Winding corridors. There's way too much to do after you just started the game. Like, the beginning where you're on your ship, you're learning about these characters, and you're like, oh shit! Like, there's this Nihilus guy, and he's gonna be like investigating me, seeing if I'm worthy of some Spectre thing. And then you get on the planet and tearing shit up, and you're fighting guys, and Jenkins dies, and you meet Ashley. Like, all these things are happening, and then you get to the Citadel, and it just stops.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of exposition. There is side quest upon side quest that just get flung at you, and you're just overwhelmed. The corridors are kind of boring and winding and bland. Interesting if you're a lore nerd like me. I was like, oh my god, that's like the Turians make up most of the military because of this reason, and the Asari are all this, and there's a consort who is kind of manipulating people. Like, there was a lot of there, but it was way too much, especially if you were in it just for the action. So the Citadel, I'm not surprised that... Josh, is that kind of roundabouts where you dropped off at the 3-hour mark?
No, I think I got a bit further. Like, I have a vague memory of driving the Mako around a bit. But by that point, I was kind of bored with it because I
Was it the
Already
story or
knowing-
the combat that didn't grab you, or both?
no, I found the story interesting. Just the combat itself, I just sort of like, so what? And then I think something else came out by that point, and then I was just like, you know what? Like
I'm done.
this is great and everything, but I don't like. There's other stuff I want to be doing right now.
Fair
The
enough.
combat is supposed to be the best part of the game, and you get a taste of it at the beginning in the first little missions when you're on the what is it, Horizon
Mhm.
or Edis Prime?
E-
Is it Edis
yeah.
Prime?
Eden Prime.
Eden Prime.
Eden Prime.
So, yeah, those missions were kind of like I guess a tutorial, if you want to call it that, or a taster to the combat that you're going to experience later on in the game. And based on that alone, I immediately lost interest in playing the game. Because for me, and I'm just going to step away from the strictly Mass Effect 1, but if you skip ahead to Mass Effect 3 in the beginning, you have an option of like what your playstyle is, and if you want to be strictly more combat oriented, or if you want to be more like
Story oriented.
story oriented and choosing your path. And I think that is a fantastic idea when you're talking about RPGs. And if I had that kind of option, and if the hub wasn't such a piece of shit in the first one, I probably would have played it. But unfortunately, it was very story oriented, and the hub was a piece of shit. That's why I didn't play it. Summarize it right there in a single sentence.
Which is the complete antithesis to me, because I loved the story in the first one. The fact that you actually have an antagonist, whereas in 2, it's all about the characters, and you know your end goal from the beginning of the game. You know where you're going, and then in 3, it's just this all of this crap gets dropped on you, and you have to solve it all. But 1, it was the most like linear story. Get Saren, throw his ass in jail, and then things evolve from that point. But the systems in the game weren't that big of an issue for me. Like, I loved the RPG aspects of it. I almost loved how janky it is, even though it is frustrating at times. Just like when you singularity a bunch of people, and they're all like floating around, and you can like lift them up into the air or stasis them to take them out of the fight, but you can't damage them. Like, those systems aren't super fun, but they really fit with the world. And I don't know, like, I actually kind of loved it for its weird quirks, like the fact that you get sniper rifles in that game, and they suck unless you're on an open world, because then you can snipe people from like kilometers away, and they're just like, who the fuck was that? And then like they start running at you. You can pick them off. I don't know. I had a blast with some of the weird shit that you can do in that game.
I do have to say that I did like in the first one that you could modify your weapon.
Yes.
Like, they took that completely out of 2 and 3.
Not
Well,
3.
They brought
I mean,
it back in 3.
Yeah,
2 got
I don't think it was as. I don't think you could do as much in 3. 1, you could literally you could put like 4 modifications on like a weapon. You could modify your armor. You could change the type of grenades you threw. Like I had a sniper rifle that basically did like 500% damage, but overheated in one shot.
Yeah.
But like I took out like half the shields of a Geth armature in one shot with it. So it was just like one shot, hide, wait for the thing to shoot at me. It cools down, shoot it again, shields are gone, and then I just peppered it with like an assault rifle to kill it. So like, I thought that, it kind of helped. That kind of like helped the problem with the weapons. Like they had a lot of upgrades, like where you had like the overkill for assault rifles, where it just like every bullet hit and did like it was like better aim and like they all had their own little things that helped it. Like you could get modifications on a sniper to kind of reduce the
overheating or the
yeah.
accuracy, increase the accuracy of it. And even suits,
Yeah.
you can get on top of the specific stats of the suit, you can make it heal you over time or seal off any toxins and stuff like that. There was a lot of different mechanics in the game, which was, you can kind of say, like, is broadly kind of the issues with the game. They tried a lot of things.
Yeah.
And
It was
not all of
it was
them were-
overcomplicated.
Yeah, there was a lot going on, which was interesting on one aspect, but because they weren't quite fleshed out or incorporated very well, it added to the janky.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to just like try different things on different enemies and see what worked. Like, now I'm going to put this ammo modification on this gun against this type of enemy and see if it does more damage.
Oh, it's Geth. Like, let's take all the phase ammo so you can get past their shields and stuff. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. It was like kind of tactical. Also, the game was hard.
Extremely, because there was.
It was the hardest
one-shot
one.
hits everywhere.
Oh god, yeah. It was like, I'm still trying to beat it on Insanity because it's hard. I'm kind of stuck on a part of it because I'm in a small room, and your teammates die immediately, and then I'm like running around with a sniper rifle in a small room. I'm like, help! Like, because I'm an infiltrator, so like I have a sniper and a pistol at my disposal.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah, the difficulty spike in that game, like, sometimes it'll be like you're just crushing everyone.
Oh
and then
yeah,
all of a
but
sudden-
then you just get annihilated.
Yeah.
Some fights.
So the game is really all over the place.
Yeah.
I wanted to leave you guys with a question, because I will be right back. But this game has, again, we were saying, lots of different systems. There's the discussion wheel, which I wanted to get to. There's hacking and scanning and all these other like mini games within the game. What did you guys think of those systems? And then how would you have improved them? And or would you just have removed them entirely from the series? From Mass Effect 1. So yeah, scanning, hacking, the dialogue wheel. Did you love all those, or were you kind of like, how would you improve them?
Well, I think that I think the dialogue.
Yeah.
I was happy with the dialogue wheel. Trying
It's a fucking
to remember.
RPG. It's an RPG. If you're not okay
Yeah,
with
I mean,
the dialogue wheel, then you
Yeah,
might as well
kill
just buy
yourself,
fucking Call
right?
of Duty or Halo or
Right.
something.
exactly.
As far as I'm trying to remember, because I know they changed hacking from the first. Like in the first
did.
one, it was like press buttons.
The
in a
first
certain
one, it was
order.
like an outer wheel, and then there was like little things that went around, and then there was an inner wheel that went around. It just progressively, like there was more rings of. It was almost like Frogger, but in a ring.
Yeah, and you had to move your cursor through the
You had
through
to
the wheel.
move your
basically.
cursor through to the center, and I fucking hated that.
What was the system in the first one? Like it was like you had to do it to open containers and like lock containers and stuff like that. I thought that was
was-
hacking.
That was
That was
it.
hack. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
it.
you had to press buttons.
Well, it was like you had a little cursor that you had to bring to the center. In hacking in the second one, it would be one of two options where you'd have to like select, I guess, a script of text.
Yeah.
But you'd have 3 columns, and then it would just
Yeah,
like
I remember that in the second one, but like I know I'm not crazy. In the first one, to open lock containers, there was another thing that you had to do. I don't remember that one, but I
it
remember
was
like
right
having
in the
to press
beginning.
having to press buttons in a specific order to open the door.
Well, you would
Because
know
like they would pop up on the container, and it's like press Y, press A, and then if you screwed up, you could try it again, but you had to use Omnigel or whatever to try it again, something like that. But I don't remember the cursor hacking.
the cursor
honestly
one
don't.
was like
That was the most
Maybe
prevalent,
was it
for sure.
different? Was it different on PC and console? Maybe.
No,
I don't know. I
think
played
so.
the PC version.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure on console it wasn't. You don't move a cursor. It was pretty sure you just press buttons. to
No,
open containers.
it's just, I know the ones Mike's talking about, and it was the same on console.
You're talking about like it's a wheel and you have to kind of like get through a weird maze to like hack.
Yeah.
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 That- It was. You can use either your mouse or your keys, and on console it was just the joystick. But you.
I
It was
don't
like this
remember
weird,
that.
like kind of circular maze.
It was a Frogger essentially.
Yeah,
to the center.
honestly. And that system was used for almost everything in the game.
Jacob, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm almost positive, like, to open containers or like lock doors and stuff like that, you also like there was also another like hacking or whatever where you pressed buttons.
No. In 2 there was. In 2 there was a couple different mini games, but in
No.
1, literally I had just played it. Like I've just
There's
played
only
it the
2.
last couple days. There was only the weird like the Frogger, the circular Froggle puzzle. There was nothing else.
I don't think you're wrong, but okay.
Did you maybe later on in the game? I only got through like the first couple hours.
Yeah,
in this
I don't
last
remember
playthrough.
what the one you're talking about is. To be honest.
Did you guys have any?
It was like to open
ideas?
like weapon caches. Like it wasn't anything big, but it was like, you know, the little things that they had like locked up to get like bonus. Like you got like, you know, armor mods and stuff like that from it. Like I could have sworn that it was.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. No. I remember now. And there was like a sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had to remember the
Yeah.
sequence, and you had to
Yeah.
like Simon Says or whatever.
Yeah.
Was that in the first one? I can't
Yes,
remember.
it was in
Yeah.
the first one, 100%
Yeah.
in the first
In
one. I
like-
know
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
fucking crazy.
In
Like I've played the
6
game a few
hours-
times.
In 6 hours of playing number 1 recently, I have not seen that system. It's
Oh, you
only
suck.
been the Frogger, the circular Frogger.
We'll get good, Jacob.
What about the
Good.
dialogue wheel? The dialogue wheel. Were you guys happy with how that worked out?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
how it was kind of laid out.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
pretty much said like if you don't like the dialogue wheel, then play fucking Call of Duty or Halo or something. Like it's an RPG. If you don't like the dialogue wheel, then you're playing the wrong game.
I feel like they gave you significant like enough options to choose from. Like you could go like, oh, I just want to say a neutral statement. You could do like a somewhat aggressive one. You could do like a somewhat helpful one. Or if you know you had your Paragon or Renegade scores high enough, you could be like, fuck you. Or you could be like, oh, I'm gonna be really nice and like
You know what? You're a good guy.
persuade you.
But you're gonna do what I want. But thank you. You're
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I found at times it was kind of like misleading. From like,
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
like you have like
Yeah.
a text
It
that
would say like
no worries, and then your character would
just
be like,
go
"Fuck
off.
you, bitch," and you'd be like,
Yeah.
"That's not what I wanted to say." Like, it's completely different.
yeah, fair
Yeah.
enough. Yeah, that did throw me for a loop sometimes.
That is one
There's-
thing. Like with the old KOTOR games, it was like you actually got a whole sentence of what you were going to say, and you got to pick between
Yeah.
them. Because
Yeah.
your character didn't have any voice lines, but because in this one your character does say things, you got a snippet
It
of
just-
generally
yeah.
what he's going to say, and it did lead to a lot of
Somewhat
confusion.
kind of
Words
sometimes
match.
related to what was said just on the wheel.
Like, hell, that's not what I thought you were gonna say.
yeah, it's
-2 Renegade or whatever. Like,
it
damn
does
it!
sometimes hinder the RPG experience. But what about the stats? Were you guys interested in because this game is very it's playing off of the character sheets you would have in a pen and paper game. Like your character has intimidation score and weapon proficiency scores. What did you guys think of that aspect? Did you like that in the game? Did you think they could have done it better? Did you just want it stripped away?
I think
entirely?
they did do it better as the progressed in the series. Like it was definitely in the first one. It was definitely like I feel like there were too many different things, and they made you put points into certain things if you wanted other you needed to put 4 or 5 points into pistols if you wanted access to sniper rifle damage increase. Like they made you do certain things to upgrade other things, so it kind of sucked. But in the second and third one, they kind of oh, you wanted to do this, and you just choose that.
Yeah.
So then they definitely did improve it. And so I mean I'm not really yeah, sure, it was the first in its series, right? They were kind of like you said, they threw a whole bunch of different systems into it, saw what worked, saw what didn't work, and then they changed it.
Yeah. Josh, I
So-
know out of everyone here, you're probably the most similar to me in that you like RPGs and stuff like that. Did you like the systems that were in Mass Effect 1, the little that you actually played through?
I barely remember them having any effect on me. I didn't know what any of this stuff was. I didn't know what I was doing to change it. I mean, that kind of, I feel, carried through most of it. But it's yeah, sure, if you get more proficiency in a certain skill, it does more damage, but other than that, there's not really any change in any of the skills. So it's like you just get more health. Great.
There's
That
no
seemed to be basically the limit of it.
there was no like perception checks or like
No.
know. Oh, I recalled this weird fact because I have a good like wisdom skill. Like it was basically
Well, the only stats that affected those were your intimidation or persuasion, right? Like if you didn't upgrade those, you missed out on dialogue chances. That's
Yeah.
about it.
Everything else was a stat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Percentage increase of more
Yeah,
damage
whatever,
on
health.
this, more health, better
Yeah.
accuracy. I know as the series went on, they stripped out a lot of that. I actually kind of wanted more. I wanted like you can pick your characters, their dexterity, like all that classical stuff, their dexterity, their strength, and kind of make a character that you kind of either role play or not identify with. I thought that was kind of missing in the game, but I think they tried to strike a healthy balance of, hey, it's a third-person action game. You can change these different abilities and pick where you're going to be good at and where you're not going to be so strong at. And it eventually, they boiled it down a lot, and I wasn't quite as happy. I really liked the more stats. Like I'm gonna go down this path and pick these stats, but you know what? I'm gonna pick this one because it fits more with my character. Like he's a smooth talker, or he specifically focuses on shotguns. Whereas in the other game, it's like you got a shotgun, you're good at it. You're never gonna have to increase its proficiency.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So was there any other systems that you guys would like kind of fix or do something different with in the series, or did you guys want to move on with
Everything.
everything? Just
Shut
fix
up,
everything.
man.
Let's just
Fix
move on.
everything.
I think we pretty much touched on all the major flaws of the game.
I stepped out for a minute, but yeah, I mean, changing weapons was a chore. Power-ups and upgrades, like, that was fine because it's relatively similar to 2 and 3.
Yeah, fair enough.
Overall, I think that's it. I mean, if it wasn't such a bloody chore to change a weapon and upgrade well, I didn't really care for modifications to weapons and stuff like that. But yeah, that pretty much sums up my perspective.
It was
in
a chore.
nutshell.
It was a chore.
I mean,
you wanted
it
to get
was.
to the action, and it kept throwing this weird shit at you that you didn't care about.
I mean, it was so convenient in the second one where you just like you open up your hub, you change your weapon, and that's it, job done. And in Mass Effect 1, it was like, okay, you have to go into the display, and then you have to pick which one you want, and then it flips up the two options. This is the gun that you currently have equipped, and this is the gun that you're looking at, and these are the stats and all this stuff, and what are the modifications that you want, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, holy fuck, I just want to play the game. Oh my god. It was too much. It was too much for me, anyways. And Josh, I think that you're kind of on the same plane with me where it's like, I just want to play the friggin' game. I don't care about all this crap. I just want to play the game.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
gameplay is so important to some people. I mean, I guess it's
I will say,
this, but
first time I played Mass Effect, I was so in love with it. Like, Mass Effect has become one of my favorite, like, universes. First time I played it, I loved it. I was like, yeah, it's kind of janky, but whatever. Like, the story was super cool, and, like, all these weird things you can do. I kind of loved it for that. Playing through
it's
it
fucking
now,
janky.
playing through it this last time, I was like, oh yeah, like I remember why I love this, because like the characters are so cool, and I can lift people up into space and not have to deal with them. But then I died to bullshit the first time.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a lot of dying to bullshit.
Okay, and then I restarted the level because it saved me all the way at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
okay, I'll just go, died to bullshit. I drove off the path. Like I drove not into lava, but like slightly off the path. It might be in the video that's playing right now, and just died. Okay, I got through that part, and like Geth armature landed on my face, killed my squad, and I couldn't and it just like one shot me right after the cutscene. Like there was so much bullshit and so many weird janky things to this game that it gets really tough to play through after a while. Like it's too much, even for the story. Sometimes even me who loved it, I couldn't. It's getting harder and harder to finish this game. I thought I was gonna, I'll start a new file, carry them all the way from 1 to 2 to 3. I'm starting to think I might just skip all the way to 2 because I don't know if I can cut through the bullshit.
How far are you?
I just finished the first main mission. I got Liara.
Liara, okay.
Yeah. So I still have those 2 other planets
I'm
and then the rest of
on
the
my
game.
Insanity Let's Play, my Insanity playthrough. I'm on the elevator, with Liara, leaving the place.
Oh yeah.
I can't. It's that fight is fucking impossible.
With the Krogan and the Geth.
Yeah.
I remember
my teammates just die literally immediately.
I tried
and then
playing
I'm
that
like,
on hard, let alone Insanity, and I was just like, that was tough. Holy crap.
I can't. I get everything dead, and then I just the Krogan just is like, hey, how you doing?
Try lifting him up or stasising him, because he's the most
I don't know. I am just cause I'm a infiltrator. So I have tech skill. I don't have those.
Oh, I think Liara has stasis.
But I don't have Liara, right? She's not on my squad.
Yeah, because you're trying to get her right now. So,
yeah.
I don't know if you can do it actually, because
it's fucking hard. Let me tell you.
You can try with Caden. You can use throw, or I think Rex might have it as well.
You don't. Oh,
knock
do
him
I have
off his feet, or singularity. But I think again that's Liara. Just try knocking him off his feet and incapacitating him, and then you can deal with it.
Yeah, I'm using Rex. Yeah.
Yeah, try having Caden and Rex on your team, and then you can take out the guy.
I'm pretty sure that's who I have with me, but I just nope. They've quit and I haven't got back since. I think I failed it almost 10 times. I'm like, I can't do this now. This is not happening.
Again, those difficulty spikes. So yeah, basically, game kind of boils down to story was really cool. Gameplay was shit. They really needed to improve it. So having said that, would you recommend this game to other people, or do you think just skip to 2?
No.
I think if you start with it, it might be fine.
Yeah.
Without playing any of the other games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because,
or any other games, period. If this was your first game, you wouldn't know.
Yeah,
how
maybe
bad
going
it
back
is.
hard
to
to
it
go
now,
from,
you might be in for a bad time.
Yeah, it's hard to go from 2 and 3 when they've really trimmed the fat and really kind of really smoothed out the gameplay, and then go back to 1. You're just what the fuck am I doing right now?
Yeah.
So I could see somebody who, if they played 2 and then you're like, oh, you should play 1, and they go back and play 1, they're gonna be like, fuck this. That's pretty much almost guaranteed.
As you guys were saying, I can't remember if it was Scott or Mike, but this game came out in 2007, and there were very few other games that kind of did as much as Mass Effect 1 was trying to do, with the conversation wheel and the branching paths, and the fact that it's a third-person game where you're exploring a galaxy, and you can land on different planets, and build relationships with characters, and there was all these RPG elements, and you can mod your weapons. There was a lot of shit in this game, especially for 2007, but that's part of the problem. They didn't implement those systems as well as they should have. Do you guys, moving forward with the series, were you sad that some of the elements of the first one are missing, or were you more happy that they kind of trimmed them out?
Again, I missed in 2 especially, because I guess I don't really remember a lot of weapon customization in 3, but I missed that in the other 2 games for sure, because I thought that was one of the coolest systems that was in the first game, because it was you can basically, you can make these base weapons and you can change them to do you can make them more accurate, you can make them do more damage, you can make them, you can customize them so much.
Mm-hmm.
I loved being able to like, and it gets you out of some situations a lot easier if you have the right upgrades on your guns, because it's just like those enemies that are much harder to dispatch. If you have the right combination of ammo and abilities on the guns, you just destroyed them, opposed to having like, I'm supposed to struggling to kill them for like.
Scott, you played 3, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so 3 brought a lot of that back in, but
There wasn't.
not as much as the first
No,
one.
it wasn't as much. Like I definitely know that neither one of the other two games had as much customization. I vaguely remember a little. Like there was a little weapon customization, but not not terribly a lot. Like you couldn't do nearly as much as you could in the first.
Yeah. Brandon, what about you? Was there anything you kind of missed from Mass Effect 1?
In the Mako.
And that
In the
were
Mako.
in the other games.
That weren't in the other games? Or were you
No.
kind of like, you were happy that they stripped everything out?
No, I was happy that they dumbed it down, to be honest, and made it more simplistic. Yeah, I like it simple. Like keep it based on the story. Keep it
This is
based
what
on
you're
the
trying
action.
to do. Do that.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think it's pretty clear when you look at the first and second and third, and even the fourth, Andromeda. They started with something that was relatively similar to that previous Star Wars game. I don't even know which one it was,
Knights of
but
the
it was
Republic.
basically, thank you. It was essentially like, it was almost like a clone of that game, and then they kind of took a step back and looked at, okay, what makes this game good and what makes this game not so great, and then they took those parts out and they put parts in, and then they came out with Mass Effect 2, and then when Mass Effect 2 came out, they did the same thing, and they said, okay, what makes this game good? What makes this game not so good? And they went, okay, well, you got rid of this, but you added this, and I think, you know, I mean, I'm just seeing like a progression of almost an evolution of gameplay, where it's like, it was at the beginning, it was focused purely on story, and now we're looking at Andromeda, and just based on the trailers and parts of gameplay that I've seen, it's not so much about the story anymore. It's more so on the gameplay, and it's very, I want to say, in depth on the gameplay. I mean, I can't say much because Brandon's the only
Can't
one that's
confirm.
played it.
Alrighty.
It looks
I will,
so hardcore. But
We'll
they got
definitely
rid of
get into it in the later podcast when we talk about Andromeda.
Yes, that will be.
they got rid of the Mako. They got rid of grenades in the second one for some reason.
Yeah.
But then they brought them back into the third one.
But it was an ability as opposed to like a separate thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They mixed and matched a lot of stuff. Josh, what about you with your short playtime of the game? Was there anything that you were like, oh, this was actually kind of cool, I wish they had done that in the other games, or were you just like, no, just keep it in one, and the rest were great?
I can't really comment on any of that, to be honest. It's been a while since I played it, and it's, that was the first game, and then they made all the others. So what's in the first one is in the first one, and you just have to deal with it.
You have to deal with number one if you want to be truly hardcore. I think.
Well, I think if you only have to deal with it if you I think if you came to
Josh, we're losing you.
and having not played the
Josh, we're losing you. You're breaking up. Okay. Until he comes back.
Never mind.
You're there? Hello?
Nope.
Oh, he's
Okay.
doing a me.
Sorry, Josh. You're kind of breaking up with us. I think what Mike was saying earlier is kind of pretty on the nose. It's the game in one. They started off. They had a good idea for the story, and they had a vague idea of what the other systems they wanted to get. Like, let's throw this in and all that, and like there was too much. And then in 1, they cut it all out. And they were focused on, okay, it's going to be characters, and it's going to be some pretty good cover shooting gameplay. And then in 3, they built off 2 and kind of went back to what they were doing with 1, but they did it better. They trimmed the fat, but they kind of explored with what they were doing. Now that they knew how to build those systems and make them fun. And now in 4, I'm almost worried that they're throwing in too much shit. Apparently, like, there's resource collection and management, and like who are you going to open up out of like cryostasis or something to gather resources and stuff. Like, there might be a little bit too much in there, but we'll see. Oh no, our overlay broke because Josh left.
No.
Well, we're coming to the end of the show anyways.
Believe me, Jacob.
It's not broken?
Don't overthink it like that. Believe me.
Oh no? It's...
No.
Okay. I'm really excited to play Andromeda. It's coming out in a couple
They
days, so.
introduced everything to you
Simply?
perfectly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm-
You'll see.
Alrighty. That more or less wraps us up for the show. There was one more question I wanted to ask. Unfortunately, Josh was gone, so we'll keep it pretty brief. From 1, did you guys have a favorite moment while you were playing?
My
Yeah, when
favorite
I turned
moment
it
was
off.
when Rex died.
Damn, Mike! He turned it
Damn!
off. That was his favorite moment. Wow.
I gotta think.
Brandon?
I don't know.
Sorry, you said something, but Mike cut you off.
Yeah. My favorite
Sorry.
moment was when Rex died.
It was your
Oh, my
favorite
most
moment?
My most memorable.
Oh, your most memorable. Yes, okay, yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
I will say, while Scott is thinking,
Yeah.
Rex dying and like not having Rex in 2 if you don't play 1 is like the best reason to play through 1. Like all those like extra things that you pick up from playing 1 that get transferred over through the series, Rex being chief among them, make it worth it. Like even if you have to suffer through it. Like I, even with all the bullshit, I still enjoyed myself, but I understand I'm a special butterfly in that regard. But if you can push yourself through it, it is worth it as you progress through the series. Oh, we have Josh back.
Oh.
I know.
So,
Alright.
Josh, we're just
Hello.
thinking our like a memorable moment from the series. I'm assuming you don't really have one. Was there something you wanted to?
From the series or from the first?
Or that from
No.
the game, from the first game. No.
Sorry, what?
Okay. All right.
Did you have a favorite moment from the first game, like something that stuck with you?
No.
Fair enough.
No.
I said when I turned it off, that was the best part.
Scott,
Probably killing the council.
killing.
my
Oh,
favorite.
okay.
Yeah. Probably.
You killed the council?
Of course I killed the council. They're a bunch of jackasses.
What?
Like, oh no, Saren's fine. He's fine. He's fine. He's
It's
fine.
all
Don't
right.
worry about
It's
it.
great.
Don't worry about it.
Why'd you blow up that like ruins? Like, couldn't you have saved the ruins that was exploding because of other reasons?
I don't know.
Yeah, so it's like, you know what, guys, fuck you. We need a new camp. You can
A
burn.
human-led council.
Wow. I don't give a shit who leads.
Did anybody?
Those guys were assholes. Fuck them.
There's like you can troll the council, right? Like you can call them up and just hang up on them, right? You don't even actually have to like talk to them or
At
something.
the-
That was like a thing in Mass
At the
Effect 1.
end of every mission, like every main mission, the council calls you to kind of discuss, like, to kind of give you their feedback on what happened. And it's almost always negative. And you have your decisions. You can make like the good diplomatic answer, the neutral answer, and the renegade answer every single time, like multiple times in every conversation, is hang up. So you can just hang up on them like at any moment during the
I don't
conversation.
give a fuck what you guys are saying. You're gonna die in a fire at the end of the game anyway. That's the renegade way.
It's kind
I
of
would
like
do that every single time.
having done
Worth
both
it,
options.
100%. I'm telling you.
Having done both options, hanging up on them, like, because they comment on it, like the next time if you keep doing it, they'll bring it
Yeah.
up. So it was pretty good.
I
There are
think-
some weird choices you can make. Like, there's a reporter who's like kind of a bitch to you. And
Punch
you
her in the
can,
face.
just like the
Yeah,
renegade option
yeah.
is punch her. This interview's over,
Punch
and
her.
you just punch her. You're like, I did not mean to
And
do that. I just
literally. Oh, I meant to do it. I'm telling
Scott
you,
was
man.
like, yes.
I'm telling you, playing through the series. I mean, you could, if you don't like one, skip it, but play through 2 and 3 as full Renegade. I'm telling you, it's a different game. It's so much more fun. It's like it's a whole new experience. Just yelling at everybody. It's fucking amazing. Just some of the lines, the Renegade lines, are phenomenal. It's amazing. Anyway, yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
It was the council. Blowing up the council was your moment.
Yeah, that was it. I was like, I've actually accomplished something in this game.
For
Better
me,
tomorrow.
My favorite moments were talking to Sovereign, even though I knew what the Reapers were as a concept, just hearing this dude talk to you and just be like, "You're worthless. Like I'm not even worried about you," and then kicking his ass at the end of the game was cool. And then when you're on Vermeer, which is like the last mission ish, and you're talking to the AI that the Protheans left, and he's kind of revealing what the Protheans did to kind of save the galaxy and hope for the next cycle, as it were, was very, very cool for me. So I like the lore dumps in that game were my favorite. And also, again, at the end of the game, when a Krogan's charging you in 0G and you can just float him off into nothing, is another moment that'll always stick with me. So yeah, that pretty much covers us on Mass Effect 1. Mass Effect Andromeda will be releasing soon, but it'll take us a while to get through that. We will have an episode on it in roughly 2 months, I believe, just to make sure everyone's finished it. I'm assuming it's going to be pretty big. But to kind of sate you guys in the meantime, we'll be having an episode on 2 and 3 in the next coming weeks, so you can look forward to that. Otherwise, this has been Press A to Podcast. You can follow us on, we have a Twitter at Press A to Podcast. You can email us at pressapodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube for all our VODs, which again is Press A. And we also have an iTunes where you can listen to some of our older episodes. I'm uploading them as we go every week, one of our older episodes, until we get to the more recent stuff, which is going to be on a monthly basis. So yeah, if you want to rate that'd be great. 5 stars help us out a lot. But in the meantime, we will see you in roughly 2 weeks for Mass Effect 2. If you want to follow these guys, if they have a social media thing, it's under their names. Mike's releasing a video on Dead Space soon, I believe.
At some point, yeah, when I finish.
Maybe at some point, hopefully it'll be out soon.
It should be out before the next episode of Press A. Should be.
But until next time, guys, have fun and good luck.